Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to the program. Here's my name right in the corner as let me point to my right shoulder, which gets me to pointing to my Twitter handle. So there's a little bit of that. But today I want to talk about a particular topic that applies to Bitcoin and other valuables, which is rarity. Now, one of the things that creates value is the fact that there's limited supply, right? It's just basic economics, supply, demand, limited supply with a lot of demand, the price should go up. That's what a lot of Bitcoiners talk about. But let's talk about something that's actually happened in the past as an example to illustrate this point. So let me start with, so I started thinking about what could I show that that had rarity and it was rather rare. And I thought about baseball cards, but they're not that rare because you just get more cardboard, more print stuff, more. It's not rare. What are things that are kept from being able to make more of them? And I thought about famous artwork. So let me share my screen. Let's start talking about one of the most famous artists in the world, which is Leonardo da Vinci. So imagine if you could, own a work of Da Vinci. How many are there? Let's take a look at that. So we know that Da Vinci clearly isn't making any more art. So right now, based on this particular website, there's 205 pieces of art from Da Vinci, including the Mona Lisa and a few others that are well known, the Madonna. But what about other famous artists? We've got 200-ish. Let's call it 210 from easy math. 210 works from Leonardo da Vinci. What about Michelangelo? Well, Michelangelo, 140 to 180, so he's kind of in the same ballpark. What about Monet? Just another. So he's got about 10 times as many, about 1,360. So they're all kind of in that same ballpark. Let's say 210, give or take a factor of 5. But that's what I wanted to start with. So I started with artists. So imagine if you would, just talking about the concept. Imagine if you owned a Michelangelo or a Da Vinci or a Monet. Would you be interested in selling it? Probably not. You want to keep that forever. Kind of like we see them in art galleries and movies, but a lot of wealthy people collect art and they're just rare and they only go up in value because they don't make more of them. The artist is no longer with us. These paintings and pieces of art have been around for decades or centuries even, and they only go up in value. So they hold their value because they're rare and they're scarce. So, but Jeff, the point is, we get that Michelangelo and Da Vinci are rare and they're dead, and we get that. They're not making any more of it. But there's only 100 of those, 100 to 200 of those. How does that relate to something where there's 21 million Bitcoin? Well, let me try to come up with one more example of rarity and value of things they don't make anymore. And again, if you've got another example, please, if you like this kind of content, this kind of conversation, please like, share, subscribe, helps out the channel. But leave a comment down below if you've got a better example than what I'm coming up with. But let me share another example of something that they made 15 million of. It's pretty rare now, and that is the Model T Ford. So Model T Ford originally was made for $850 in 1908. They made 15 million of these before they stopped. They literally wrote off the number 15 million. I don't know how they counted to 15 million, but they did. They made them for over a decade, from 1908 to 1927, nearly 20 years. That is 20 years. They made these cars. That was the epitome of standard cars back then. Okay, that was you made if you had a Model T. There were 15 million of them. Now today, so they sold them for $850 back then, right? And then $300, as low as $300 in 1925. Today, you got to pay 15 grand minimum and up to get one of these, but they still exist. They're rare, but you could see now, just by that one step, say $300 to 15 grand, that is 50x. If I'm doing that math right, yeah, 3 grand would be 10. Yeah, that's 50x. And that's the lowest price value. So there's another example of they're not making more Model Ts. You can still get one. They still function. They still work. They still do what they're intended to do. But it costs 50 times more than the original amount because of inflation. So what my point is that the reason that Bitcoin is so interesting is it's digital currency that is also a rare digital asset. There's only 21 million of them. There's only 15 million Model Ts. There's only so many Monets or Michelangelos. But imagine you could go in on like a lottery pool and you could say, hey, I got 1 million of my friends. We're all going to put in $50 each. And for 50 million bucks, we're going to buy a Michelangelo painting. We're going to buy the Mona Lisa. and then I'll own 1/1,000,000th of the Mona Lisa. That, my friends, is fractional ownership, and that's what they're trying to do when they're tokenizing everything. That's why this whole tokenization of everything and everything will be tokenized, those phrases, that's exactly the point. Something that's very expensive. Think of, a giant building or a city. Like, you could tokenize Los Angeles. You could do that. Like, whatever Los Angeles or the county owns, you could buy a share of it, and you that would be tokenized, and you get one token represents, let's say, LA token. LA token will represent whatever the LA city or the county owns. You tokenize it, you own the token, you own a percentage of all the. Like, let's say they make 100 million tokens, and whatever everything is worth is $1 billion. So every token be worth a dime, or $10. So you can do the math there, but you get the idea. Like, you would basically be owning a piece of the county, and then maybe that's how taxes get done in the future. I don't know yet, but I'm saying that this is where tokenization is going. But the point is this: rarity, limited supply creates value. We have seen it in rare art. We've seen it in rare cars. I didn't go all the way to like Maseratis and Lamborghinis and Ferraris because there's limited number. I thought I did these an example with the art, and that's a better example because you can't just go and make another. You can make another Ferrari. You can make another Lamborghini. You cannot make another Monet. You just can't. So now you get the idea of the rarity. So Bitcoin's is rare. There's only 21 million. There's not enough even for a millionaire. Every millionaire owned one. So that's how rare it is. So it's kind of hard to imagine, so owning less than one is still going to be rarefied air, even though there's 21 million of them, which is humans don't do well with big numbers like that. But 21 million people, that's like, it's hard to put that into perspective. It's like, that's like a baseball, maybe like a football stadium has like 80,000. So maybe in the course of I know that 3 million people go to see a baseball game in a particular season for a team, but it's still, that's like over 80 nights. So it's, again, putting 21 million, that's like 5 times the population of Oregon or South Carolina. It's probably the order of the number of people in Florida. It's a large number. It's hard to even fathom. But the point is that it is a limited number. But things like gold and silver and certainly currencies have an unlimited supply. It seems like we can always find more silver and gold. It's not been a problem. I know there's been talks about squeezes and whatnot, but there's not been a supply problem though. When the price goes up, they can dig mines that were too expensive to dig before, but now it's worthwhile and the numbers work out. So it's not an issue of supply. It's just of economics. But when you have something that has an asset that you actually know how much it's ever going to be, and it's limited, much like the number of Monets or Mona Lisas or Sistine Chapels, we only know there's not that many. There's one, if that. So owning that is going to be, it's a rare piece of ownership, much like owning Bitcoin. So hopefully I conveyed a little bit about the value of the rarity there, and that makes more sense. I mean, imagine there's only 21 million ounces of gold. Imagine that for a moment. And it's hard to imagine because 21 million ounces of gold would fill up a very large space. But then that's it. That's like I think all the gold that they have would like fill up 3 swimming pools. I think 3 Olympic-sized swimming pools. That's all the gold in the world. Which, if you ever see an Olympic swimming pool, it looks big, but 3 of them full, and that's it. Start to think about that maybe is the tipping point of the human mind of figuring out the scale, but won't take many. You can fit a lot of Mona Lisas into a swimming pool. There's just not that many. So Bitcoin is the Mona Lisa of financial instruments. It just is. So hopefully it makes sense to you. I can't wait to read the comments on this one. I know this one's kind of out there, but hopefully you get the idea about the rarity. Rarity and scarcity is a huge element of money being worthwhile. That's why, last example, and if hashtag wampum at the bottom if you made it this far, but that's why like the Indians were trading shells because they thought they were rare, and that's how the Europeans bought Manhattan with shells because they had just been to a whole bunch of islands and got a lot of shells and said these guys think they're valuable. That's what they did. They had no idea how not rare those particular shells were. So anyway, lots said today. I'm looking forward to reading your comments. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.